and welcome back to Book Club Corner, and thank you for staying with us and tuning in to brunch. Today we are having wine with Mrs. Deborah Moore-Miggins. I'm so happy and proud and excited today to have her on the show. Today we're going to be, before we get into Miss Miggins, today Miss Miggins and I am going to be having a little toast, a little cheers to some seedless grape wine from Sweet Hand Wines. Mrs. Miggins, I want a toast.
Yeah, not turn me heavy at this moment. Try.
This wine just might do it. So sip slowly. But on Brunch and the Book Club Corner, Titi, we have a good time. We relax. Mm-hmm. Check us out on Facebook, YouTube, and on Instagram. We're Book Club Corner TT. But today we're going to be talking with Mrs. Deborah Moore-Miggins, the author, the published author of 2 books, and she's also an attorney at law. That's how most of us know her. Apart from that, she is the co-founder and one of the directors of the Tobago Writers Guild. And let me tell you, she is just super smart, right? And Mrs. Miggins, in 1982, she set up her practice here in Tobago as an attorney at law. 10 years later, in 92, she won the Hubert Humphrey Award, and she was given a scholarship to study in the USA. And then 4 years later, in 1996, she contested the THA election as an independent, right? And she won handsomely. And we're so proud of Mrs. Miggins. She is a former senator, one of the former THA minority leaders. So she has her hand in many, many pies. Just a really intelligent, smart, funny lady. And we're going to be talking to her today about her book, The Caribbean Proverbs That Raised Us. Yes?
Yes, thank you. That was a lovely introduction. You know so many things about Mrs. Miggins. Where were you?
I don't even want to say where I was in 1992.
I could imagine. So thank you for having me, and good morning to your listeners. It's always good to do things on my book, of course. You know, I'm always doing things on the law. So when I get that break, if I could find it, I just enjoy it.
Yes, and we're so happy to have you, because let me tell you, I remember my introduction to Proverbs while it was as a child. You know, you're hearing the different Proverbs. Your friend will carry you, don't bring you back, you know, the different Proverbs. But we had a book called Student's Companion, right? And in the back of Student's Companion, there was a section on Proverbs.
That's correct.
But it wasn't our Caribbean Proverbs.
That's the point.
So when I saw you had this book, The Caribbean Proverbs That Raised Us, I said, wow, this is us. This is what your granny and your mommy and your daddy and, you know, your neighbor, this is how we communicate and talk in the Caribbean. So I said, Mrs. Miggins has to be here to talk to us about this book. I want you to tell us, Mrs. Miggins, share with the viewing audience, why did you decide to write a book about Caribbean proverbs, local and Caribbean proverbs? And, you know, what's your favorite proverb in the book?
Good. First of all, I have many favorites. So it's hard to take one. But, you know, strange you would ask that in the context of the Student's Companion. Because that's a book I think every Caribbean child adores. I loved it. I used to read it and read everything. So this page with these proverbs always, you know, attracted me. I loved it. But of course, you heard the word is Proverbs, and you know that your parents and the neighborhood say their own way of what you thought was Proverbs too. And I then realized, just as you said, Joel, that, you know, there are sets of Proverbs in different places, I guess. And while the English, or this man, Wilfred Best, who wrote the Student's Companion, he may have been exposed to that set of Proverbs.
Right.
There were we growing up, not only exposed to that set, but we know another set in our head coming from our parents. And most important, if you notice, the face of the book had a very beautiful design that also impacted me.
Yes.
It was that moonlight night getting together in our villages. Oh, that was so beautiful.
Right.
Where the villagers, man, I refer to it in the book as well, where the villagers came together in the night, moonlight. Yeah, I think it had to have that moonlight. And they would talk all, we don't do it now, these things have gone. But they would talk Jumbie story. Of course, that is the one you're afraid to walk home. Every banana leaf you see, you stand up. Some people must stay the whole night because they couldn't pass. They think it's Jumbie. But they had, what they call it in Proverbs, they had riddles. Riddle, riddle shall be, water lay down, water stand up. What is that cane? And a whole comment to them.
Love that.
And of course, you had a pot of pea soup boiling there, and a corn roasting here, and Sam. I don't know if all you know about Sam. You know
I've heard of it. I've heard of it. Never had it.
Sam hanging and we eating. A dog or two lie down around. It was truly.
That's a rich heritage, a rich culture, a rich life. And I'm so glad you're here to recall some of those memories with us as we talk about, your book, The Caribbean Proverbs That Raised Us, because we sometimes forget that, not because we did not have, the social media and the internet proliferating as it is now, that we weren't having a good time.
That's right.
Life was rich. It's still rich. But what we want to remember is that local culture and local community village spirit we want to remember. I think that full moon used to give a lot of wisdom.
Yes, and I would talk about it. It made such an impact on me and others growing up at the time. Because you had dancing, riddle, you had proverb, you had all kinds of, as I said, Jumbie stories. And the villagers of all kinds got together in one yard. And we had that, perhaps another yard the next time.
I'm really full of excitement to get in this book. They say don't cut the Bible. We'll be cutting this book today.
All right.
I am going to just open the book and pick a page, and we're going to get into these proverbs because she explains in this book. And congratulations to all the common entrance students, all the SEA students. Let me correct myself. We're in this modern day now. We forget about common entrance. SEA now. Congratulations to all the SEA students who wrote that exam and got their results. I think it's this week they got the results. Congratulations. And let me tell you, parents, this book, The Caribbean Proverbs That Raised Us, is an excellent gift. Many of you all took your children to KFC and Subway to give them, a little ice cream and reward them. You're probably going to have little parties for them now that results have come out. But don't forget that they need to read, and they need literature that is going to give them not only a good education, but a good sense of self. And this book, Caribbean Proverbs That Raised Us, is going to do that. We don't want you to forget. You can get it on Amazon. You can also call Mrs. Miggins to get your copy of that book. So let me get into it.
Sure.
I'm just gonna open it.
All right. Well, you're open to.
Okay, so page 117. Let me tell you. All right, this is one that you all know. More haste, less speed. An easy one. We started with some easy ones this morning.
Something like this would be used by parents to slow down the children. Telling them life not running away as the basic thing.
Yes.
The more you hustle and run behind things in haste, you may have to, they say repenting later, but there's also more haste. You run fast there. We have to slow back down on this side. It is, it's always good to be proactive, and that is good too. But the whole thing about it, you have to know when and how to go in haste, because you could be recording less speed. You could really be going backwards.
Yes. There's another proverb that would go with this one, and that is, what they say, measure twice, cut once, right? More haste, less speed.
Correct.
So there's so many ways to say that one thing, but then again, it really depends on the context. It really depends on what's happening that day.
And the context, it just jumps out. The context just leads you to the right proverb, and it just jumps out at you. The context, something gets you. Watch yourself, more haste.
I love how you did this book. Let's go to the table of contents. Let me tell you why I'm going to the table of contents. Because Miss Miggins, in this book, she's laid out, right, in the chapters, because the book is about proverbs that raised us. And what she did in the contents is to itemize areas of living, right? Areas that you would put in place to raise your children, to, to communicate in your community with your friends, your family. And let me just read some of these chapters because they're very, very telling. So we have one, courtesy, good manners, and honesty. There's another chapter that deals with choosing good friends, one with humility, one with discipline, thrift, and lend hand. And we know the lend hand system is quite alive today. We have a lot of credit unions around that came out of the lend hand, came out of Susu, right? And we know that Susu is ingrained in our culture. That's how a lot of us were able to achieve many of our goals. Send children to school when school was an expense. It's free now, but you used to have to pay to send your children to school. And that really was something that a lot of parents used to do a lend hand during the vacation to make sure they had their money to send. So when she has in here discipline, thrift, and lend hand, that really is AKA Finance 101, right? Those are the classes that they're doing now. They don't have any class mark lend hand, right? It's Finance and Accounts 101. But let me just tell you, this book has laid out a lot of understanding human nature, handling disappointments, and developing positive attitudes. And this speaks about entitlement.
Correct.
This talks about, thinking that you're entitled to a good life and to getting a good... You have to make it in life. You have to put yourself out there and do the work. Correct. And I love that this chapter is dealing with that. And we're just going to go on to the last chapter that I'm looking at here, healthy living. I mean, how many times you look at programs and they're talking about, alkaline water and how to put fruits and alkalinize your water and, what vitamins and minerals to take and how to eat. And you have here Proverbs that
that same idea, tells you that everything done in moderation. I think that's one of the key things, or like me want to throw off some pounds. But I love to eat mango endlessly. More come before me, I can't resist. So everything done in moderation.
Mrs. Miggins, I can't support you with that moderation when it comes to mango. Mango is an exception. And I know plenty people watching this program today going to know that mango is an exception. You cannot during mango season talk about moderation. What blasphemy is that? Right?
Sapodilla too for me.
Let me tell you. Just bring... Let me tell you, I just put it out there. Anybody who has mango trees, you don't want any more, just bag them up, bring them for Jewel. I'll help you out. I'm that good Samaritan. I'll look out for you. I'll take one for the team. Bring your mangoes. Thank you for that plug.
Because I think I've had my fill and it's showing about the place. So,
but when she says, everything in moderation, we want to drink responsibly. Remember, we have local companies doing local wines. And this one is called Seedless Grapes, and we do have sea grapes as well in the Caribbean. We want to make sure we support our local entrepreneurs and we support our local culture. This wine is...
Who did this?
This is Sweet Hand Wines, a good friend of mine, Gemma.
Really?
Yeah, she's obliquely opposite Penny Savers in Canaan. Yeah? Yes, and she gave us these wines. We'll be getting more wines. When we have brunch, come on, people. We got to take a little bit,
outstanding.
Right? Yeah, a little for the stomach's sake, right? So we're taking a little sip today.
And I love grapes, Mr. There's another one. So
we're going back to the book. Mrs. Miggins, tell us, why did you decide to write a book about Proverbs, about Caribbean Proverbs? Didn't the Student's Companion, wasn't that sufficient for you? What about the other books we have? Why you felt you wanted to write a book?
Several things conspired. One was my mother had died, and because she had shared so many proverbs with us, her eulogy was constructed with a lot of those proverbs, and we were paying tribute to her. She was a master at just churning them out. Secondly, our family built around proverbs. We always making joke and bringing in a proverb here and there. So again, but the third most important thing is my children. When I see my children, when I would drop a proverb and months after, they come back at me with the same proverb, meaning it impacted on them, they remember it.
Yeah.
I was shocked because to hear young people quoting proverbs is sweet, a nice ring to it. So my My son especially used to say when he greedy and he eat up and I ain't even get any, he just turn to me and say, kill picnic give mama, eh? Now what that means. Kill picnic give
Wow.
mama, mama no go eat it. But
Yes.
kill mama give picnic. Picnic go nyam am down and ask some more. That's the proverb.
Yes.
So I used to tell him that, oh God, Sanders, you don't kill, but if I kill picnic and give me to eat, I wouldn't eat it. So as he eats up eating and he know he deprived me, he just turned to me and say, kill picnic give mama, eh? Shortened version. And Devon would come back and make pig ask him, Mama, make him out so long. So when I hear them, I say, let me give them and my grandchildren and everything they need. They have it all. If they want to quote Proverbs, here it is. Local ones, better yet.
Listen,
so that's how I came.
You all get this book. Get this book. This is a book for the summer. This is a book for the children. This is a book for the adults. This is a book for all ages. This is a coffee table book. This is a lime and talk foolishness whole day book. This book is for every occasion. You're hanging out at the beach, you need this book. You fellas like to tell jokes? Get this book, right? One of the things I was so proud about was when you told me your daughter, and another young lady, another Tobagonian, 3 women were going to be presenting academic papers on Proverbs.
That's correct.
At a Proverbs colloquium in Portugal.
That's correct.
Right?
Yes.
And this is the first time, people that, not just Tobago, but the Caribbean, any Caribbean representative or person has been asked to present academic papers at this Proverbs colloquium. And we were so proud to hear that you and Devon presented. Tell us about that experience and, tell us how that came to be.
Yes. How did I get? I was usually surfing and I saw something about the capital city of Proverbs. And I said, well, I just feel Tobago had the best of all Proverbs and most prolific, and we should be the capital. So I researched it a little more. And up came Portugal claiming the city of Tavira, what it's called, is the city where Proverbs are, and it's the capital city of Proverbs. So I realized they were doing this colloquium and followed and researched and contacted. And eventually, after talking with the coordinator, he was willing to listen to what we had to say, send us your draft, which we did. And the girl there's a girl who was actively involved with me in doing the research. She had just given her mother, just randomly, mother came in to see me. And she wasn't even there at the time. They live in England. And those are the people who love this book so much, those who live abroad. And her mother took the book up to her. And lo and behold, she said, girl, this is our Bible. She, her sister, both of them doing their doctorate and writing doctorate. You see the healthy living? One is writing the doctorate on the healthy living part, and the other one is doing labor movement and the Proverbs. And both of them, but the healthy living one didn't present. But the one who was doing on labor, she presented it. She was accepted. So that's the 3. Of course, Devon is doing something with social media and how the Proverbs, looking at young people and how they respond to Proverbs and whether social media had any implications that could bring out Proverbs. So the 3, we had 3 different areas we were focusing on, because I was doing the socioeconomic impact of Proverbs. So they had to take 3 of us because it's not as though we were duplicating each other or anything.
Well, let me tell you, we're out of time right now. We're going to give you the trivia question. We have a really nice prize. But, this is one of those conversations. We need a full bottle of local wine,
2,
right? She says 2. I love her. I love you. And we need 2 bottles of wine. We need some more people. We need some, a nice little talk and laugh session about this book, The Caribbean Proverbs That Raised Us by Deborah Moore-Miggins, attorney at law, published author. We need to get that. Get your copy of that book. But before we go, we just want to tell you the trivia for today for Book Club Corner. And our trivia question is a proverb. You give us the meaning of this proverb, and what you're going to win 2 spots to a workshop on Saturday, this coming Saturday, for authors, published authors. And this workshop is called Marketing for Caribbean Authors. It's a masterclass I'm doing. I am a book marketer by profession. I really help authors get their book out there. And what we're going to be doing is sharing some tools with you. So give us the meaning of this proverb. Write it in the comments. The first 2 persons who get it correctly. And the proverb is, one day, Congo tea. It's my favorite because I had no idea what it meant. So we're wrapping up today. We thank you for having brunch with us, Mrs. Miggins. Cheers to you as we chill and relax and talk about this book. And we want you to remember to get your copy of this book. And next week, we will be talking with Mr. Rodney Pigott about his book, Damn That Habit. So get in there, get your books, get ready, get your wine, get your favorite snack, and meet us here for Book Club Corner next week, Wednesday at 11:30. Cheers.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. Thanks to Gemma.
Right now, Tobagonians are just currying down to Bonaccord, right in Strawberry Local Road. You know why? To come down and shop at Authentic Builders General Hardware, the only hardware store in Tobago that is giving you guys Trinidad prices. So for instance, such as steel, 1/2 inch and 5/8, $7,895. 5/8 construction ply for $260. Every single thing that you will need to do your home renovation or start your new construction, we have it right here. And to get your quotation, it's very easy. Just WhatsApp us at 272-1990 and we will do your free WhatsApp quotation for you.
How it's gonna go. They better look up below, 'cause this is your show, and everybody's gonna know. Say it to them once again. They better look up below. This is your show, and everybody's gonna know. That's how it's gonna. Look up below, 'cause this is your show. Live more.
And we are back. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. We had a wonderful time, and I was just chatting here with my sister from another mister. Miss Joel Greene-George. You know, the trivia question, nobody got it. I wonder if Joel knows the answer to this question.
Oh my God.
Do you know the Tobagonian Calypsonian who performed in the British movie? I can't say the name of the movie.
You can't?
Yeah. Name a Tobagonian Calypsonian that performed in a British family movie.
Okay, so there are just a few Tobago Calypsonians I know. So I'm going to guess to meet Calypso Rose.
No, not Calypso Rose.
Aww.
But nice try.
Her. Yeah.
And she has braved all the odds. So we definitely need to talk about her a little more.
Oh, yeah.
Don't forget, guys. Well, nobody won. So the prize, let me just say what the prize would have been. A brunch for 2 at Waves Restaurant. You definitely need to get to Waves. I myself, never been there, but I'm going to make it my duty to get on the train. Anton, we live in after. So Waves, look out for us. And we just want to thank all our guests today. I want to thank Dr. T, Dr. Todd. I want to thank Jewel for coming on, Mrs. Miggins for coming on, Khadijah, love you to loads. Thank you so much for coming on. The answer to the question is Tobago Crusoe.
Oh.
Yes, Tobago Crusoe.
Oh, wow.
All right, and the movie was Paddington. That movie with that little bear.
Really?
Yes, remember we heard a little calypso in there with a steel pan type of finish. That was Tobago Crusoe.
Well, you're now making me I'm going to look for
Yes,
that
so
movie
look
to
for
watch.
Paddington and you will definitely know when the song comes on.
Janelle, please give them my trivia question. We're giving away the workshop spots, 2 workshop spots. One day, Congo Tea. If you know what that means, please leave it in the comments. Don't forget Book Club Corner as well.
Yes, Book Club Corner. And please join us on Friday. We have our Culture Corner. We have so many things going on that you need to be with us. All right, so once again, that was Brunch, a Taste of Tobago. Thank you so much for viewing, and we will see you on Friday. Have a wonderful day. God bless.
Cheers.